Hello and welcome to another Optical Enhanced Vision webinar interview. And today I'm very pleased to be joined by Iain Mellis from Mellis Eyecare. Mellis Eyecare are an opticians based in the northeast of England, in both Thornaby and North Ormsby. So good morning, Iain.
Good morning, Paul. Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
To see you. Yeah. Absolutely. It feels like it's been forever, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
Yeah. I've resorted to over a year ago to cut my own hair. As you can probably tell, I'm taking it a little bit too close to the cut at the moment. So yeah.
You've got your summer cut early, have you?
I have. Yeah. It's my all year round cut now. It's my basic cut, as I like to call it. But yeah. So thank you for joining us today. And basically, as previous, could you really just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe about your background, how you got into opticians and optometry, and go from there?
Yeah, well, I've been qualified for about 15 years now. I think it was 2004 that I graduated from university.
Okay.
From Bradford. My family has a bit of a medical background. My father was a GP, so I was quite interested in going to some sort of allied healthcare profession. I didn't want to become a GP because I saw how many long hours and things like that he was working. So I looked at things like dentistry, pharmacy, and optometry, and I thought optometry would fit in with my sort of how I am and things. So I went down that route. Went to Bradford University, graduated in 2004, and I started working at a local independent firm near to where I live, where I initially got my first sight test, called Henderson Opticians in Stockton and Yarm.
Oh yes, yeah.
So and there I joined the local AOP lecture group, which is still going now, and Gil Smith came along and gave a talk about low vision, which I found very interesting. I thought, from a clinical point of view, if somebody's got an eye problem, I didn't want to be in that position where we can say we say we can't do anything more for you, okay, because that is very disheartening for the patient.
Yes.
And I thought low vision would be a very good way of just helping patients with vision loss after macular degeneration and things like that. So I started getting interested in low vision then. We signed up to the local low vision NHS enhanced service probably about 10 years ago now, I think it was, in North Tees. And then about 8 years ago, I had the chance to purchase my own practices off another local optician called Hall's Opticians. They've still got a couple of practices over in Eston and Redcar. Yeah. And they sold me the Thornaby and North Ormsby practices. And I was very keen when I took over the practices to have as many enhanced services as possible, which we could do on NHS, including the low vision practice, low vision side of things. Due to us interested in that, I joined the Tees LOC at that time as well, and became the low vision clinical lead for Tees LOC as well. So I help oversee the low vision services in this area as well, work with the CCG and things like that. So yeah, very heavily invested in the low vision side of things as far as the practices are concerned.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, and obviously we've worked with you for a number of years on that side as well. And for the people who may not know what the LOC is, could you maybe a little bit expand on that particular aspect?
It's a statutory body which represents the local opticians or optometrists and basically contractors and performers in the area, and liaise with the NHS to sort of come up with enhanced services like the low vision schemes, like we've got a children's cyclopedic service in this area. Obviously that's not going on at the moment due to the screens not in the schools. We've got direct cataract referral scheme, which is working really well at the moment. We've got lots of patients coming in with cataracts. But basically it's cataracts, dry eyes, and people with broken their glasses who are coming in at the moment. You know,
of course,
we're quite busy due to that. And we got the IOP referral refinement, and we're ongoing discussions for post cataract services, glaucoma services, and I would like something like the queues to be commissioned in this area as well. I don't know how successful we'll be in that area, but I think in today's practice we need something like that there. Unfortunately, we don't in this area yet.
No, that's fair enough, and obviously, you know, going back to the sort of community scheme on the low vision aspect of it, that's something that's probably being needed more than ever due to the current circumstances that we find ourselves in. So in regard to that, because obviously you're part of a number of practices in the geographical area that provides that service. How have you found that, and actually your overall business? I know it's changed, and I know that you've the health and safety and the sanitising and cleaning stations and PPE etc. has changed things, but just how much has it changed what you do on a day-to-day business?
Yeah, well, quite a bit. You know, we were probably testing about 13-14 patients a day pre-COVID. You know, we were never the high volume patient sort of practice. We were always, you know, try to keep a sort of friendly, relaxed atmosphere in practice. So we were always testing about every 25-30 minutes for patients, and a bit longer for new patients or for more complex cases and things.
Yeah.
And then basically when COVID came in, the practices, obviously initially we put the shutters down, furloughed the staff, and redirected all the phone calls to my mobile. So I basically took over the running of everything, and we still got quite a lot of calls from patients. You know, obviously the hospitals closed the doors to anything which was not really urgent. So we ended up having NHS 111 direct lots of phone calls to us, because we were traditionally on a emergency eye care scheme which had been decommissioned in 2014, but they hadn't updated their records. So we were getting lots of NHS patients phoning us up asking for advice, and we'd have to signpost them to the relevant areas. So we were faxing off people with retinal detachments, uveitis, or sudden vision loss and things like that. And I was doing that all from home, as well as then going out and repairing people's glasses when they broke. So if they'd phone us up, and I'd basically drive out to the houses, tell them to leave the specs on the doorstep in a clear plastic bag, preferably a clean one, a new one. Yes. People who didn't do that, you know, an old sandwich bag, and I'd take them away. I'd try and fix them in the car, you know, disinfect them with wipes and things, repair them, and then if I could, just leave them back on the doorstep for them to take. And if not, I'd take them into practice and do that and order the parts in. So that was the first, you know, 2 or 3 months of the initial lockdown.
Yeah.
And then we had to sort of we came back in the June, and we decided that we'd see one patient at a time, 1 hour appointments, and it's a locked door policy, so they can only come in when they're due. Okay.
Yeah.
And that keeps the sort of the exposure in practice down to a minimum. At Thornaby, during the lockdown as well, I pretty much redid the whole front of the practice. So we got rid of the carpets, put down a wipe clean floor,
Okay.
and I put the obviously breath shields in to protect the staff when they're making appointments and things. UV sterilizers, got a couple of those. So we, after every patient comes in and tries the specs, they put them in a little box, and then we clean them down and put them in a UV sterilizer before they go back on. I've got a UV sterilizer in the testing room to do a trial frame and trial lenses and things after each patient. So that's how the sort of site test has changed. As far as low vision's concerned, I've not had to change much as far as the assessments are concerned, because we were obviously giving the patients about 45 minutes anyway when we do a low vision assessment. Yeah. So time-wise, it's not really an issue. But I found since going back last year that the low vision side of things has increased dramatically. We're seeing a lot more low vision assessments, and I think that is due to the fact that a lot of these patients are too scared to go to the hospital for treatment. They're having problems with wet AMD, they're not getting the injections required. A lot more people are getting cataracts, and they're scared to have the operation. So we're seeing a lot more patients come into practice with vision problems, which are no longer helped with spectacles, unfortunately. So we are doing a lot more low vision assessments due to that. And they are a bit more involved compared to before COVID, just due to the mental health side of things as well. A lot of these patients have been in isolation for the last year, seeing hardly anyone. So a lot of them just like to have a natter whilst they're here, which I quite enjoy. You know, I can't offer them a cup of tea anymore, unfortunately, due to COVID. But they appreciate the listening ears of a professional who understands what we're going through. So it is a big thing.
And I think you're right. I think you're right about the almost the one-on-one. Everybody, including ourselves, we are all in our little bubbles. So we're being out of contact with so much face-to-face for so long now. And I know from my point of view, people who actually really appreciate the time that you can give them. So in that aspect, you know, I think that's brilliant. And like you say, because unfortunately the hospital clinic side isn't in the position to be able to do that, you're providing a lifeline to many of these people on that side. So that's really good to hear that you've been able to still provide that service. And like you say, with a low vision assessment, generally speaking, you don't have to be as close to them as you would for a normal eye test. So it works. Yeah, it works in both ways. So moving forward, then obviously, so you've gone through how you've changed. Do you see coming out of this, which hopefully for us all is a light at the end of the tunnel finally? Do you see any things that you've done or you've started and implemented that you'd carry on?
Oh yes, certainly. The appointment only, I think I'll keep that for collections as well. You know, before patients could just turn up and collect the specs whenever they want, but actually it means that we know they're coming in, we can prepare for them, make sure the specs are all ready and they look nice for them and things. So we're definitely going to be keeping that afterwards. Okay. I might not keep the locked door policy, but in saying that, we have less problems with people who are suspect browsers. You know, you get some people who might come in who aren't looking to purchase anything, but they really want your glasses. So
yes.
we don't have that problem anymore.
No, that's a very diplomatic way of putting it, but I totally understand what you mean.
And then I've started doing a pre-test questionnaire, which we send out before the patient comes into the practice.
Okay.
And that's to obviously keep the face-to-face in the chair time down as much as possible. And I'll be keeping that certainly afterwards. We had a brief questionnaire which we do in practice if we remember to do it, but this we send out via email to the patient. They complete it and they send it back. And I'm also doing telephone conversations with patients a bit more as well. You know, if they have problems, I'll phone them up before they come in and triage the appointments and things like that for emergency eye care appointments. And I've had some success with the AOS software for
oh yes, yeah, I know.
So we send an app to the patient takes photographs and they send it back to the practice for me to have a look at before they're in the chair. So you know, that works quite well in the fact that I'll have a very good idea of what I'm going to do with the patient even before I assess them. And that just means that we don't, again, have to spend as much time in the test room and less exposure face to face. But it's also very efficient as far as the patient's concerned, and they really appreciate that. And it looks a lot more high tech compared to the traditional mode of practice that we were doing 12 months ago.
Absolutely, and I think that is important with the time management side of things for us all. In fairness, the aspect again on the low vision side, to which I was always previously acutely aware as, and this was not necessarily from the community scheme, but certainly maybe from rehab side of things, is that because of patient confidentiality, the assessor didn't always have the full facts from patient records to be able to say, okay, this patient, Mr. Smith, has AMD, but what kind of AMD? It's not even generally known. What is their visual acuity? It wasn't always that known. So of course you had to spend then a certain amount of time just getting that information out of them before you even started the assessment. So I think there's lots of things which have certainly improved over the time, and that information is now a lot more available, which again means that you've got more time to sit and listen to the person of what their needs are. Because I'm sure you will agree is one of the biggest things in low vision is obviously everybody's requirements, even with the same eye condition, is different in many ways. And ultimately getting as much information about what they miss doing. Not necessarily, oh, I miss reading and that's it. And then you can just hand them a magnifier and be done with it. No, it's a case of what else apart from those obvious ones. And I think that's something, again, a community schemes such as yourself can offer, probably certainly in a nicer environment, in a quieter environment than maybe a traditional clinic.
Yeah, certainly. I think, a lot of our patients are very worried about going to a hospital at the moment. They're very nervous about that. So the fact that we can come and show that we've got a locked door policy, we're very stringent on our hygiene, wiping down all our chairs. All the chairs are wiped clean now. There's no cloth chairs or anything like that. So after every patient sits in them, we give them a wipe down with antiviral wipes. And there's no sort of pressure on the patient, you know, there's no sort of, the anxiety levels are kept to a minimum. And I think a lot of that is what's required as far as the patient's concerned. It's not just having a magnifier, it's discussing the impact of the vision loss on them and how it affects them, like you said. And it's amazing how, you know, you have to really sort of delve into the depths of the history and symptoms to find out how it's affecting their lifestyle. You know, if you've got somebody who's loves looking at the racing papers, you know, then you need to look at some way to be able to achieve that for them. If a model maker, you're going to have to look at having a clip-on magnifier of some sort, or a spectral mounted telescope. And then you have to then discuss how if they're having any problems like Charles-Bonnet syndrome as well, which a lot of patients with macular degeneration, a lot of patients won't have the issue. You know, they'll never see it and it doesn't affect them. But then you can have other patients who's not having any problems with the level of the vision that they have. They can do everything they want, but then they've got this Charles-Bonnet syndrome, which is causing a lot of distress. Absolutely. And you have to discuss it with them and tell them what it is. And half the time, when they realise it's just due to the vision loss, they're greatly relieved it's not something else. So it's a big problem that for a lot of patients, and it's very important that we discuss that when they come in for the low vision assessment.
Absolutely, and it's something which I know from Esme's Umbrella, which is an organisation that Judith Potts run, and we've done an interview with her. Feels like a lifetime ago now, but the RNIB themselves have taken up this cause because they have found there has been a significant increase of people coming forward because. I saw it from people. I always made a point, and I always have made a point of asking people about that. And as you're no doubt aware, and I'm sure you again feel the same way, asking people about, do you have any visual hallucinations? It's not the sort of thing that just comes out your mouth for a question. Oh, by the way, so but actually, the amount of people who look at you and go, yes. Yeah, I have been. I didn't. Nobody knows about it though, because I don't want people to think I'm mad and things like that. So, and again, it's something which doesn't necessarily get brought up in clinics with the clinician. It may be with an ECLO if they're lucky enough to see an ECLO once they've finished their main appointment. But I think that's something else. It's that little add-on effect that you can provide. And actually give a lot of peace of mind that no, you're not going crazy. It is part of AMD and other eye conditions as well. So that's you
can certainly see the relief on their faces when you start discussing it and they realise that it is a normal thing with low vision, and it is a great thing to be able to sort of educate them on. Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely. So how have you, again, and obviously you don't need to answer this, but how have you found it with, you mentioned that initially you were working from home and then you're back in practice, but obviously I know you've got kids, and so you've had all the homeschooling and all that aspect of it. Is that gone as planned?
Yeah, well, it's quite testing at times, shall we say. I've got three boys. They're 12, 10 and 7. So as a key worker, our eldest secondary school said they'd keep hold of him. He has problems with anxiety, and he doesn't like change and things anyway himself. So we kept him in a routine going into school, and that's helped quite a bit. Yeah. But my wife's working from home at the moment, and she's looking after our two youngest, who are 7 and 10, and doing the homeschooling as well as trying to be a case manager. So she is struggling a little bit with that. Our 10-year-old's great. He just cracks on, does all his work on Teams. He's really good. He's a little bright spark. So we don't really need to put much input in him. But our 7-year-old is just, he's a little terror. He just does not want to do anything.
He's at that age, so
very difficult. He wants to play on his Switch and play with Lego. That's what he wants to do.
I don't blame him.
And he doesn't want to sit down and learn about whatever they're called, like frontal verbs and stuff like that. We're all learning now. in primary school, which I still don't know what are, you know.
No, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of it past me as well. I'm older on that side, so yeah. Well, yeah, again, you know, I think with a lot of this is it's been a learning curve for us all on that side, and yeah, there's good and as obviously as well as there's some bad as well. But I think if nothing else, it's probably brought a lot of families closer together on that side, and yeah, we like I said at the beginning of this interview is that we are beginning to see some light finally at the end of the tunnel, and we've got these dates to hopefully look forward to, and for some sort of normality on that side.
It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I also run a classic caravan club.
Okay.
Called Alternative and Retro Classic Caravan Society. Okay, so we go away to display our caravans. We've got a 1969 Dutch caravan called a VFW Fokker. So we have to be a bit careful when we're saying that word.
Yes.
And the kids, we had to tell the kids' teachers, no, they're not swearing. That's actually the name of our caravan. Yes. So we take this Dutch caravan away to different display events across the country. But of course, at the moment, that's all been cancelled as well. You know, there's been no sort of displays for the last year and a half, basically, due to the fact that it happened in January time last year. So that was a bit disappointing as far as we're concerned. We can't get away with kids and give them that little bit of freedom away from the hustle and bustle of modern life and electronics and things. So hopefully coming June, July, August time, there'll be some more rallies for us to get away to, and we're looking to, fingers crossed, to hopefully get back out in the sunshine with the caravans.
Absolutely, and I would hope by then, yes. I mean, here you're outside anyway, so in regards to that, we're not talking about an indoor arena here. So, but yeah, it's just amazing that you've actually got a caravan pretty much as old as I am. So that's I'm impressed. I'll have to have a look at that one day.
We've got a website, we've got a Facebook page, so check that out, you know, and you can see all the wonderful classic caravans on there.
Absolutely. Well, you send me the link in an email, and what we'll do is when this video does go out, as usual, on our Facebook and on all our social media, we'll put the link obviously for the optician, but we'll put the link in for that as well. So you send that along to me, and we'll happily do that. So, well, listen, Iain, it's been brilliant. I really appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah.
To discuss this and give us some insight of just what the average practice, which also incorporates a low vision service, has been doing for these last 1,200 years. That's what it feels like anyway.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Paul. Thank you for having me. It's been great to talk to you again.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you in person relatively soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. You take care of yourself.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.